Hello, everyone. I am Won-Suk Lee. I'm a lecturer in Korean Studies at Washington University in St. Louis. In this module, I'd like to talk about a brief history of K-pop from the 1990s to the present. I will focus mainly on how K-pop has become a genre that transcends national and ethnic categories. I'd like to start with a simple but complicated question. What is K-pop? Of course, K-pop stands for Korean popular music. However, recent examples of K-pop tell us that it is not that simple. So what would you say about idol groups that consist of all non-Korean musicians but sing in the Korean language and promote themselves as K-pop? Some may argue that Korean ethnicity is essential to determining whether it is K-pop or not. However, the perceived importance of Korean ethnicity has declined over the past decades. So I will explain how and why. Scholars agree that the modern idol system-driven K-pop began in the 1990s. Since then, K-pop companies, including the four major conglomerates, SM Entertainment, JYP, YG, and HYBE, have increased the number of non-Korean musicians. From K-pop musicians to non-Korean and non-Asian musicians, the ethnic and national boundaries of K-pop have expanded. While K-pop stands for Korean popular music, K-pop, in fact, has never existed as a popular music genre performed only by Korean musicians from South Korea. Since the early 1990s, K-pop musicians have played a significant role in K-pop. They were often metaphorically introduced as missionaries of American pop culture and music. So as you can see, is almost all prominent K-pop groups in the 1990s, including H.O.T., SES, Shinhwa, and G.O.D., had at least one K-pop member. In particular, K-pop musicians from the United States were highly desirable to K-pop agencies. K-pop companies chose K-pop musicians not only because of their musical skills, but also because of the ideas associated with American pop culture and Western modernization they represented. Many Koreans at the time viewed American culture as something cool, chic, and even a symbol of an advanced culture that Korean society should follow. For example, in an interview, a member of H.O.T. Kangta reminisced about the first meeting with Tony An, who is Korean-American member of H.O.T., by saying that, quote, "I thought Tony was so chic because he was from the US," end quote. This tendency is also related to a transition in Korean society in the 1990s. With the establishment of South Korea's first civilian government in 1993, Korean society faced many dramatic changes. Heavy censorship on popular music was lifted, and the globalization was accepted as a prominent government agenda. And then there was a particular group of people called the New Generation, or Shinsedae, who played a significant role in this transition. Born between the late 1960s and the early 1980s, they experienced economic prosperity during their childhood, unlike their parents who experienced the Korean War and the poverty. While their parents' generation, the baby boomers, tended to have nationalism as a prominent ideology, the Shinsedae considered individualism to be a prominent social value. So they did not hesitate to consume Western popular culture, especially American pop culture. In this context, many K-pop groups included K-pop musicians in their attempts to appeal to the Shinseide. Therefore, K-pop musicians are crucial to understanding the early phase of the idol K-pop industry and prominent musical styles. Since the middle of 2000s, the K-pop industry has actively absorbed the non-Korean members from neighboring countries, such as mainland China, Japan, Taiwan, and Thailand. Why have K-pop companies chosen non-Korean musicians instead? How did K-pop groups become multinational? One of the main reasons for this phenomenon is the Asian financial crisis, which began in 1997. Because of the crisis, the Korean economy plummeted, and the Korean government eventually had to declare national bankruptcy. The Korean government had to borrow money from the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. Of course, the IMF demanded that the government changes its economic environment into a more neoliberal system. Various sectors of Korean industry suffered as a result of this economic crisis. The Korean music industry was no exception. Many K-pop companies focused on the foreign markets to find alternative ways to earn revenue. So this crisis created an atypical environment in the Korean popular music industry, producing K-pop groups in South Korea, but targeting global markets. Since then, K-pop companies have been eager to promote their cultural products to foreign markets, especially neighboring countries such as China and Japan. So both countries were not only influenced by Asian financial crisis, but were also attractive to K-pop companies for their own features. For example, China, as the most populous country in the world at the time, offered a vast pool of potential consumers for Korea's cultural product. Furthermore, Korean TV dramas such as Star in My Heart were very popular in Taiwan and mainland China, which made K-pop companies promote their products easier. Besides geographical proximity, Japan was also attractive to K-pop companies because the Japanese popular music industry was the second largest market in the world, following the United States. Given these circumstances, including non-Korean musicians in a K-pop group was the most effective way to promote their cultural product in a targeted market. With the existence of non-Korean members from a targeted market, K-pop has become a cultural product, enabling local fans to feel solidarity with K-pop musicians from their home country. More importantly, non-Korean musicians contributed to overcoming cultural and linguistic barriers between K-pop and targeted markets. In his interview, Park Jin-young, the founder of JYP Entertainment, said that he learned the importance of language from a failure of Wonder Girls in the United States. He said that, quote, because a language is part of a culture, there is a limit that one can study a foreign language without having an experience of living there, end quote. Then Park emphasized that a non-Korean member who grew up outside of Korea is needed in order to promote the K-pop groups globally. So he tried to find a non-Korean member when producing a new group. So in this way, JYP Entertainment introduced its first non-Korean member from Thailand, Nikun, as a member of the boy group 2PM. Of course, 2PM got a huge success in Thailand. For a similar purpose, SM Entertainment also launched multinational boy group EXO in 2012. EXO was a 12-member boy group consisting of 8 Korean members and 4 Chinese members when they debuted in 2012. SM Entertainment announced that EXO would often be active as a unit, as EXO K for the Korean market and as EXO M for the Chinese market. Targeting mainly the Chinese market, EXO released their debut album, the first album EXO-EXO, both in Korea and China at the same time. Since the middle of 2010s, it has become more common to see non-Asian musicians in K-pop groups. Since then, K-pop has become more multi-ethnic, as K-pop groups consisting entirely of non-Korean and non-J-pop musicians have emerged. The first K-pop group consisting entirely of neither Korean nor Asian musicians, EXP Edition, debuted in 2015. Although EXP Edition started as Kinbora's thesis project at Columbia University, this group was active in South Korea. The female K-pop group Fancy Red, consisting exclusively of Chinese members, debuted in 2017. Localized K-pop groups have debuted outside of Korea. For example, Gachi debuted in the UK in 2020 and consisted of 1 Korean member and 3 non-Korean members from Spain and the UK. The leading K-pop companies have also launched idol groups consisting solely of non-Koreans, such as JYP's NiziU and HYBE's N-Team, to target overseas markets. In this case, they targeted the Japanese market. This tendency has brought 2 different types of K-pop groups to the industry today. First, K-pop group consisting entirely of Korean musicians, but releasing songs in non-Korean languages, such as BTS Butter. And second, K-pop groups consisting entirely of non-Korean musicians, but releasing songs in the Korean language, such as Black Swan. So you might wonder what makes it possible. So among many reasons, I'd like to pay attention to the training system. So almost all K-pop groups today are produced by their agency, and the K-pop agencies run the training system when producing a new group. The training system is a rigorous training program focusing on singing, dancing, rapping, composing, and even foreign languages. So I will argue that the training system accelerates the transnational phenomenon of K-pop. So in addition to developing musical skills, the training system provides the non-Korean musicians with enough time to learn Korean and Korean culture. So it functions as a stepping stone for non-Korean musicians to assimilate the Korean culture and language. For example, Lisa of Blackpink from Thailand once said that thanks to the training system, she was able to become a fluent Korean speaker, and she was able to understand the Korean culture, although she barely spoke Korean when she arrived to Korea for the first time. In the same way, the training system also offers enough time to learn non-Korean languages for Korean musicians. As examined, K-pop has been trying to reach out to global audiences. Given the leading K-pop companies' recent projects, such as JYP Entertainment A2K, America to Korea, which aims to find talented K-pop musicians in North America with no regard for ethnicity or race, we will see a growing number of multi-ethnic K-pop groups in the near future. And I want to emphasize that the K-pop fans today got accustomed to this non-Koreanness. From my ethnographic research, I discovered that the K-pop fans got accustomed to non-Korean musicians in K-pop. For example, Lily from Washington said, quote, compared to first and second generation of K-pop fans, I think I was exposed to the concept of foreigners being K-pop stars early on, so it does not faze me at all, nor do I think negatively of it, end quote. Also, Haley from Ohio said, quote, both qualities of non-Koreans and non-Korean language have been a part of K-pop, especially in the recent generations, end quote. So going back to the question, what is K-pop? It will be very interesting to see where K-pop goes beyond the Koreanness, because K-pop, at any rate, always represents a certain ethnicity, nation, and linguistic identity. So yeah, thank you for listening.